Humanity's overrated anyways. Bring on the catastrophic internet monsters. And if you're at all familiar with the world of SCPs, you probably know that a whole lot of them could do a ton of damage if given the opportunity. That's why the Foundation does so much to keep them contained. Considering that there are so many K-class scenarios, it's a wonder we haven't succumbed to any of them yet. End of the world, class restructuring, dominance shifts. One is bound to happen eventually. Until then, though, we'll enjoy ourselves by running down a list of SCPs that could just absolutely end us all. Hello, fellow friends and philosophers, and welcome back to the most mind-bending channel on YouTube, Life's Biggest Questions. I'm your voice in the void, Keegan Hughes, and today we're going to be counting down the top 10 scary SCPs that could end humanity. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more death and despair. Perfect! Let's get going. Kicking us off at number 10, we've got SCP-610. We'll start today's list off with a big fleshy mass of terror. If you're familiar with Sarkic cults, you'll know this one very well. The flesh that hates is a horrific meat disease that turns people into shambling, unthinking raw flesh. Essentially, anyone infected by the Red Death will have their scar tissue grow at an insane rate and take over their human features. Infected folks will sprout additional limbs and branch out in disgusting Carpenterian ways. Think The Thing, but redder. As people transform more rapidly, they'll feel the need to find more people to infect, spreading the flesh further. Right now, it's mostly localized to some remote villages in Russia, but if it made it to major population centers, we'd be assimilated in no time. Coming in at number 9, we've got SCP-871. After discussing raw disease meat, let's consider a more delicious end of the world. There isn't much out there more appetizing than cake, right? It comes in so many varieties: flavor, consistency, temperature, toppings, the works. Everybody likes cake, and test subjects at Aperture Science prove how seductive it is too. But what if there was too much cake? Hard to imagine, I know, but hear me out. There are 237 cakes being contained by the Foundation right now. These cakes are all subject to the power of 871, meaning that if they are destroyed by any method other than human consumption, they will duplicate. And if they're not eaten daily, they will duplicate anyways. If 237 cakes are not consumed in their entirety every day, they could become exponentially self-replicating. And if left unchecked, the whole world could be drowned in cake. It's a fun idea until you find yourself facing down a mile-high mountain of cake ready to topple your hometown. Coming in at number 8, we've got SCP-3199. Speaking of infinitely self-replicating foodstuffs that can end humanity, let's talk 3199. These strange beings resembling chicken-chimp hybrids, sort of. These 3-meter monsters weigh upwards of 700 kilograms each and are able to produce offspring pretty much without limit. They can fire off eggs like nobody's business and they hatch rather quickly. Plus, the eggs are nigh indestructible. Extreme blunt force trauma, extensive pressure, precision blades, and acid exposure have all been found to be ineffective at destroying these ovids. All instances of 3199 are born with another egg ready to go too, so we could see humanity ended via overpopulation in no time. And seeing that they're opportunistic hunters that love to liquefy their human prey, it might not be a lack of resources that does us in. Coming in at number 7, we've got SCP-736. We are going to take our destruction to space now. Let's be real, if something greater than us wanted to end humanity, we really couldn't do anything to stop it. Heck, a bunch of extinction plots could already be in motion. 736 is a prime example of our helplessness. It seems that something is out there playing pool with planets, attempting to smash into Earth. There's an anomaly affecting one of Saturn's moons, constantly altering its orbit before returning it to its original position. Current models appear to show that the anomaly is attempting to cause a chain reaction that will eventually have Titan slam into Earth. I don't know if I need to say this, but I will anyways. That would be very bad for anyone living on Earth. So for now, we should try to live life as best we can, because you never know when an unidentified anomaly might play trick shots with our lives. Coming in at number 6, we've got SCP-682. While I don't believe that the hard-to-kill lizard is as inherently dangerous as many of the other options on this list, I do believe that it makes up for this with pure hatred. 682 just wants to kill everything. It hates life. Anything living deserves to die, or at least that's what it says. Pair that hatred with insane regenerative abilities and an impressive amount of combat acumen, and you've got a beast that could end humanity if given the opportunity. If the Foundation hasn't been able to find a way to kill it at this point, what makes you think the average human might come up with something? If given free reign, it would methodically travel the world, killing every last one of us. It might take a long time, but eventually I believe that 682 would get it done. He just hates people that much. I'm sure some of you can relate. Coming in at number 5, we've got SCP-096. At this point, I feel like 096 is an SCP mascot. Every entry-level article and fan seem to reference it as a personal favorite. It's a scary idea for sure, a creepy pale humanoid that will run to the ends of the earth to kill anyone who has seen its face. There's no reasoning with it, and there's no taking it back once you've seen an image of it. Accept your fate and get demolished. The Foundation has done a pretty good job of keeping it under wraps so far, and most sightings are pretty remote and isolated. However, if 096 made it into a major city, we'd all be cooked. All sorts of people would see it running around, and as a result would be marked for death. And there's no way that it wouldn't be photographed and shared via newscasts and social media, meaning that anyone who tunes in would also be marked for death. After that, it's only a matter of time before 096 makes it around the world, blasting through people like the Kool-Aid Man blasts through walls. Coming in at number 4, we've got SCP-1000. You ever get that feeling that you're being watched? Well, it might have been a Bigfoot peering in from the shadows. See, SCP-1000 is a species of humanoid that plenty of folks have claimed to see wandering around forested areas. Most think it's a hoax, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, etc. The Foundation's official story is that it's a species with human origins, but will also kill you if you look at it. But that story is also a cover-up, meant to keep people away from the truth. If you've got the right clearance, you might be able to read up on the origin of SCP-1000. Apparently they used to be the apex predator, topping the food chain around the world. Humans seem to be on the way out, totally dominated by these impressive apes. But out of nowhere, a dominance shift occurred, putting humans back on top. How and why aren't well known, but it seems that there's still some big feet out there waiting for their chance to take their rightful place. Another shift in power might be closer than we think. Coming in at number 3, we've got SCP-231, the Scarlet King, the big bad, the ultimate evil, a powerful being dead set on destroying the world. Be thankful that it's trapped, for now. There are so many theories surrounding the Scarlet King, so it's hard to say exactly what it is or what it does. But if we're going to take 231 as gospel, we should continue doing some crazy rituals in order to keep our world together. Apparently there's a procedure named after a location in New York that needs to be followed to a T, lest we release untold evils onto the world. Witnesses attest to the insane cruelty and pain involved in the procedure, which involves a young girl apparently hosting the Scarlet King. But as the old adage goes, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Coming in at number 2, we've got SCP-2747. This phenomenon causes people to talk and write about non-existent works of fiction, or that's what people thought at first. All sorts of details from said unfiction begin to appear all over the place, with no explanation as to where they came from. Nobody had any recollection of these ever existing. Soon, Foundation members started to postulate that these stories were real at some point, but were somehow erased from existence. It then became apparent that these erasures were imperfect and left behind little bits and pieces of the story. These eventually became anti-narratives, sets of tropes and symbols that when put together make a story erase itself. And when these elements are included in meta-narratives, or stories within stories, they eventually cause the parent stories to be erased too. This is especially bad news when you realize that bits and pieces are missing from the containment procedures. It seems that soon 2747 will erase itself, which will leave a hole in the Foundation wiki, which could then conceivably erase itself, which would leave a hole in the world containing the wiki, which is our world. Uh-oh. And finally at number 1, When Day Breaks. One of many proposals concerning SCP-001, When Day Breaks is one of the bleakest. Something strange happens to the sun, after which every living thing touched by its rays turns into melty, gelatinous stuff. The beings affected are still alive, but they're different. When Day Breaks predicts an apocalypse made out of goo. If you go outside, you become an abomination. If you open a window, you become an abomination. If you're captured by one of the weird greasy beings, then they'll turn you into one too. Humanity is gone when day breaks. All that's left is the unknown. Well, doesn't that make you feel warm and fuzzy? 10 different ways we could all die, or do something similar to dying. What'd you think of the list? What humanity-mucking SCPs would you have chosen? Are all of these as dangerous as I made them out to be? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more cross ones, from what happens if you get stung by a murder hornet. Just some guy without a mustache says Coyote Peterson's blood is the cure to all insect stings. We've got to find a way to clone him, then we'd be set for life. Lauren Laveria says, at this point I wouldn't be surprised if Godzilla crawled out of the ocean. Somebody call the Jaeger pilots. Mindmaster98 says, it hurts, then you're fine. An astute observation. Don King says, I don't like mosquitoes because they bite you and I don't like them. Me too, Don, me too. And Jefferson Sinsky says, when you're so early you don't know what to say. Well, at least he said something. And that's all the time we have for today. Before I set sail, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more liquid lunacy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.